them right here. Just look at this cabbage pretty close together, not impact the plant. Another day or so. Look there. That'll be plenty for dinner. Hello, welcome back to Sage and Stone Homestead. My name is Heather. We are growing in southwestern Kentucky, zone 7A, and we did get a jump on the season this year. We've had a very warm, late winter, early spring. We did just have kind of a rogue frost pull through here, and thankfully we did get almost everything through the frost. Not everything, but all the important things. There's just a couple volunteers that I didn't cover that did succumb, but thankfully everything that we intentionally planted is doing fine, and we're gonna do an update on the garden today. So this is my greenhouse. I get a lot of questions about the size of the greenhouse. It is 40 feet long and 25 feet wide. It's actually the size of our double wide mobile home. I think it was 2021 when we purchased the greenhouse and put it in. I had pigs in it, pigs and ducks actually, for the first year, kind of breaking up the ground and getting the weeds and things out of here. We've planted in ground in here, and now we are planting in raised beds, which is my favorite. What I have going on in the greenhouse is basically all cool loving plants. And I know it might sound strange to have cool loving plants going on in a greenhouse in summer, but truly with the fans and with the shade cloth, it is about 10 to 15 degrees cooler in the greenhouse in the summer than outside. The problem that I have found with greenhouse growing though can be airflow. I mean, I know it's kind of breezy today, but we've got a lot of humid here, and sometimes the low sidewalls of this greenhouse really can trap in the humid air, and certain varieties of plants aren't doing as well as others. Exhibit A right here, our shelling peas, have a lot of powdery mildew on the bottom right now, and this does spread and move very, very fast. But the peas are really tall. We've got a lot of flowers, so hopefully we'll have at least somewhat of a harvest before the mildew really takes over. Something cool that I noticed though was that the sugar snap peas don't appear to have any kind of mildew on them. That is what I have on this entryway trellis here. It's just sugar snap peas, and I have actually started harvesting. You can see them right here. There's a lot of flowers. I mean, look at all the flowers. Can you see them? They're white and gorgeous. Look at these. So those of you that have been following our channel for a while know that when I first put the raised beds in this greenhouse, I was struggling a little bit with nutrient imbalance. I grew some peas, I think it was fall time 2024 in here, and they got really tall like this, and I think I maybe saw 2 or 3 flowers on those peas. It's a good sign that you have too much nitrogen, and obviously things are starting to balance out, which makes me very happy. So we have a lot of greenery, but also tons and tons of flowers, and where you have flowers, you have the little fruits, which are little pea pods. And they are so sweet and delicious, great with ranch. But yeah, the shelling peas, they've got some mildew on them. I think the only other plants that are really dealing with mildew in here are the chamomile plants. Look how gorgeous the calendula looks. I think this is the first time I've seen an orange one, at least this year. The calendula is huge. It's totally taking over this bed, which I hoped would happen. It's actually probably time to come and harvest some of these heads and dry out the petals for future use. I recently made a calendula tea for my daughter who just had some teeth removed, and you know, she probably didn't need it. It was pretty amazing to me how she just didn't have pain after that procedure. I'm grateful. So she said that the calendula tincture was very nice. What I have used calendula for in the past was not necessarily oral health, but more like skin health. The calendula does have quite a lot of aphid pressure, but I did see some praying mantis hatch out of their egg capsule less than a week ago. And when I saw them, I actually moved them over into this bed here where my kale is. And I also have this mongoloid looking cabbage, which we did harvest a little head out of here, but I've left this plant in because it seems to be a bug magnet, which is kind of nice. It's helping keep the bugs off of other things. The kale was kind of suffering for a little bit. This powder here isn't powdery mildew. That was actually diatomaceous earth that I sprinkled on the plants. See, there's a little bit of aphids, and it looks like a little bit of caterpillar damage right here, but for the most part on this newer growth, it looks pretty clean. I'm not really sure where the praying mantis are hiding now, but they're here. And because they're here, I'm really going to back off on things like diatomaceous earth, because those kind of treatments, they're non-discriminate. They will kill any kind of bug that they come in contact with. So even though it's organic, I like to use it sparingly. Finally, I have some onion flowers to show you. Aren't these the coolest thing? There is a very faint oniony smell to it, but also just a hint of floral, not a very strong scent at all. Really cool looking flower. I find that the bumblebees really enjoy these, and there's gonna be little black seeds inside little pods in here in really no time. You can see I've got chamomile down here that really is suffering from the mildew. I'm just gonna leave these. I've decided that I think with chamomile and peas, I probably need to try to just grow them outside where there's a lot more airflow. I don't know if you're able to see it, but there's a little orb spider right here. So we'll just look at this cabbage from afar. This is the biggest cabbage I have out here right now. You can see the cauliflower is getting absolutely massive, and I think they are starting to head up. There's only 2 plants out here right now, but see that one? It's a purple of Sicily cauliflower, and they get pretty big, the heads do. I had noticed just a little bit of caterpillar damage in here. You can kind of see the caterpillar poop in here too, and I can't find this little stinker. Seems to not have caused too much damage to this plant, but I'd really like to find it and pick it off. Overall though, the bugs have been very kind. I have seen the cabbage moth butterfly in here though, just a little bit over on the broccoli side. Oh yeah, I never did end up harvesting my bok choy, so now we're getting some seed pods. So we'll probably just use this for collecting seed, and I'll do this again and going into the fall time. I find that for some things, they just do better going into the fall versus coming into the heat of the summer. Ooh, looks like it's high time for harvesting our broccoli rabe. Broccoli rabe kind of gets a bad rap for being bitter, and it can be, but if you blanch it first, which is just boiling for like 2 minutes, and then either freeze it for later or pan fry it, it's beautiful. It's great. The bitterness totally goes away. These plants got really big, and so far they don't seem to be affected by the mildew that's really bad right next door. The beets are getting huge, also not really affected by the powdery mildew next door. I've been eyeballing these shallots at the base, looking at them swell. Can you see that? These guys we started from seed, I think in August of last year. And I'm gonna try to get better with my timing on my fall and winter gardens so that these kinds of things can get harvested sooner. When I put things in too late, it's like a lot of things go dormant instead of coming to maturity as the days get shorter and as the temperatures get cooler. A lot of these shallots did have little flowers on them that I plucked off. You can kind of see that here. They were a lot smaller when I pulled the flowers off. See, that's what they look like. Just popped them off like that. They still kind of grew in the center, but the plants are not putting energy into actually maturing seed. So they should bulb up pretty well. They are planted pretty close together, but we'll wait for these to start dying back before we harvest, just like with onions. And these, I just use like green onions. I didn't use the little end here. I gave that to the pigs. But I just chopped this up and used it on our cooking, just like green onions. I've been eyeballing these carrots day by day. This is a rainbow blend carrot that I put down. See the roots starting to come? You can see that one's orange and that one's purple. This carrot bed is a little bit younger than the other carrot bed that I have in here. And check out the greens on these guys. This was a carrot seed tape, I believe. Can you see that carrot down there? It's about a ½ an inch wide. So fingers crossed that our carrot harvest is better this time than it was last time. I have not fertilized since I harvested basically just greens out of this bed in fall time. And so any kind of nitrogen imbalance should be evening out. And hopefully we get some actual roots coming on. These stunted onions are looking pretty good. We've actually got quite a bit of leaves happening here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 leaves on that plant. Ideally we have 12. Given the rough start that these plants had, I'm gonna be happy with 7. If that's all the greenery that they get, I'll be all right with it. You can really see the difference in the quality of plants. I mean, these are the same onions planted at the same time as far as planting the seeds go, and these guys are so much healthier. This soil in this bed is much healthier to begin with. And let's do a leaf count over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, we're getting close to ideal over here. Each leaf equates to 1 layer of onion, which is why I'm counting them, because the more layers, the bigger the onion. These are a candy yellow variety. This is not my first time starting onions from seeds, but it's been a few years. And at this point, I do feel like I know a little bit more about growing onions than I did when I had planted them from seed before. I just yanked this out because onions don't like competition. It's kind of amazing how amazing the broccoli plants still look. Most of the center heads I have gone ahead and harvested already. I am still harvesting the side shoots. I just came through here a couple of days ago and harvested the side shoots that were big enough, and so you don't really see a lot happening here. But this particular plant, it still has its center head that's coming on. And right here in this bed, this is where I did see the cabbage moth. And I mean, I do see some caterpillar damage. That's what this is right here. But can we find the caterpillar is the question. See that? I know my fingers are dirty from digging in the dirt. That there is an egg from the cabbage moth. I'm trying to decide how much I really want to worry about that, because I've gotten a really great harvest out of this broccoli, and I'm about to start more seeds for the fall garden. So the whole hope is to have most of these beds cleaned out by July, cleaned out and amended by July, so that I can plant the fall garden in. And so I don't know that I necessarily care about putting anything on these plants to really protect them from the cabbage moths, although I don't necessarily want them being able to like pupate and reproduce. So it won't be long, I bet, before I just pull these out and potentially feed them to the chickens. You can freeze dry or dehydrate the greens of the broccoli. You could even blanch and freeze them and save them for later, and I've done that. I still have quite a lot of not only broccoli greens, but I also have cauliflower greens that I've dried and saved up. So I don't really have a need for this myself, and the birds will really appreciate it. I've also just been waving this onion around. Sorry. The beautiful alyssum in this pot just brings so much joy to me. Look at that. I think the purple is probably my favorite. Oh, it's just so delicate and beautiful. And these trees look really good. Got their little peaches on. Cute. Strawberry green stalk in here, looking halfway okay. I did just fertilize out here. The birds have been kind, and they really haven't been going after the strawberries. These strawberries out here, this is a new setup this year, and so they're not going to be producing as much or as well. This is brand new soil, and so it's going to take some time to really be as ideal as I would like. They have started to put out little runners though. You see these long vine-like things. These are going to be new strawberry plants, and in a couple weeks we'll really be able to tell. But what we're planning on doing is taking these cute little strawberry cups that I just bought, putting some soil in and convincing this new strawberry plant to root inside some soil, and then I can use this brand new plant to fill in some of the empty pockets. Like this strawberry plant didn't make it through transplanting, we'll be able to fill in the empty holes with the runners from our current plants. Okay, so the lane, this beautiful planting space, has been a work in progress for a few years, and it's pretty much at the point where I think it's gonna stay. I may eventually take out these grow bags and put in another bed, but for now I think I'm really enjoying having the grow bags in this spot. All of the potatoes in the grow bags have actually come up now. I think the last garden tour we were waiting on 3 more bags to pop the greens up above the soil, and I think I really only have 1 potato plant that hasn't come up. There was 3 in each bag, except for there's 4 I think maybe in just that one. So yeah, 1 potato hasn't come up. So that's pretty good. I don't think any of these potatoes have started to flower, but it probably won't be long. Hi, boys. Our lavender is still in the budding stage, but hopefully that flowers soon. Really can't wait for that. Our peppers that we fertilized last time, some of them have responded really well. Some of them really just haven't. My friend Corey was just here yesterday and he said, Heather, I'm gonna tell you a secret. Peppers do not like it to be 50 degrees or under ever, like ever. And I said, oh, well, they've definitely seen that. They did live through that freeze that we had, that frost, but it might have set them back a little bit. They were already kind of struggling. I don't think it's going to be the best pepper year that we've ever had. Maybe next year I'll focus on leaving peppers in the greenhouse. But yeah, we should get something. Unlike the greenhouse, this space can kind of just be what it'll be until we get a killing frost in fall time. So they've got a long time to hang out here and do something. All right, and after the peppers, we start the squash, and the squash are getting very big. These are the green lightning patty pans, and it kind of looks like we might even be starting to put on little flower buds already, which is really cool. Now this is a bush style plant. We do have a trellis here, and you can actually grow a bush style squash variety vertically. I have done it before. It works really well. At the moment, the plants are kind of small to show you what that's gonna look like, but we'll get there, don't you worry. Our spaghetti squash is taking off. As you can see, these plants have been tethered to the trellis, and I am convincing them to climb up this tether. And then by the time they get up to the trellis, these tendrils are gonna grab on, and I won't need to really tie them on. They'll tie themselves to the trellis. But I do kind of want to just guide them upward because I don't want a lot of spillage over the side on these beds. It's hard enough to kind of mow in here. So I really would like to just direct the growth upward. In this bed we have tromboncino squash, which I think the leaves are absolutely beautiful. This squash is very resistant to squash vine borer, and so that's the reason I grow it. The green squash is a very great zucchini dupe, and it doesn't have to deal with the kind of bug pressure that zucchini does. I actually like tromboncino better as a summer squash than even something like a patty pan. The texture is just like none other. Where zucchini can be a little bit like squishy and soggy, the tromboncino really isn't. It has a very nice bite to it. It has a really nice like buttery texture. I really like it. I'm sure we will harvest some of these green, but we will also leave some on to mature. They're a lot like butternut when they mature, except for like 3 feet long. The autumn frost squash, this is my first year with this plant. The squash themselves are only like a pound, pound and a half at maturity, and the plants look really tiny too. So we'll see how big these get. I thought that they would, you know, grow up the trellis, but I don't know if they're a bush variety or a vining variety. I've got to double check on that. I believe these are a hybrid. Our gherkin cucumbers had a little bit of a slow start, but it looks like I can probably take off our protective trash cans pretty soon. These plants are still kind of small, but I also plan to tether them to the trellis just like I did with the squash. And then we have the beans. So this here is a 10-foot bed, and then it will take up about half of this 10-foot bed here. So about 15 feet of Kentucky Wonder pole beans. And instead of tethering these, there's so many plants to try to tether, we stuck in this extra piece of panel here, and I've just been coming through basically tucking the plants under. These beans do not have tendrils like the squash does, but the plants themselves kind of wrap around as they grow up, and this will just help encourage them to do that. They'll grab a hold and just twirl right up. I have grown Kentucky Wonder pole beans in the past. They will flower and fruit all season. They're kind of like indeterminate in that way. Where a lot of bush style plants that I've grown in the past, they sort of put on their flushes all at once. I like the Kalima bush beans, and I don't have them planted anywhere right now, but I'm not sure I'm necessarily going to need them. Some of these plants were looking a little bit peaked the last time we saw them, but they've got their roots down deep and they're greening up really nice. They really liked all the rain that we've gotten. I am not sure if we're technically recovered from our drought status or not. Maybe not on the map itself, like county-wide, but our specific plot of land has gotten quite a bit of rain in the last little bit. We're very grateful. Ooh. We've left one little tarp out here to dry out from the morning dew. We had put tarps over the trellises here to protect the plants from that frost we got, but look how gorgeous the tomatoes are. So you can see that we do still have kind of a stair step of growth happening. All of these plants were roughly the same size when they put in. And I talked about this in the last garden tour, how it's really a difference in soil nutrition that is making these plants respond the way that they are. This plant has a lot more available nutrition than this plant. We did fertilize the beds that were behind and they are looking a lot better. They're so much greener. See these guys down here, this bed was looking the worst and they are gonna catch up. They actually look pretty darn nice. And this little plant was the one that was a volunteer that was just sticking out of the side of the bed, and we just sort of plucked it out and stuck it in, and look, it's got some little flower on it. I may actually not let it do that. I don't necessarily want my tomatoes flowering at this point. I really want them putting on their upward growth and attaching to the trellis. And once we're up here, you know, they can flower and fruit all they want. All of these are heirloom varieties. I put in some Belgian Giants, some Dr. Witchies, a few more Belgian Giants. Really, I got my tomato plants kind of mixed up, but it's at least one of those two, and then a few of the pink Oxheart tomatoes. And we do have some flowers. See that there? We'll have some tomatoes really soon. I'm letting these guys flower. They're so close to the trellis. As you can see, I have come through and done a little bit of pruning. I don't want a lot of leaves close to the ground. The splashback can cause blight on the leaves. And so we do our best to keep the plants up off the ground and well pruned to get them as far into the season as possible before disease takes them out. One awesome thing about these tethers is that it not only guides the plant up to where I want it to be, but it allows for the wind pressure to really come through and not impact the plant really at all. It's very well secured in here, so we don't have them breaking off accidentally. I just ran the irrigation today. Today is Sunday. And of course, as soon as I run the irrigation, the clouds roll in and our rain chance goes up. But that's okay, I will not complain. And of course, we've got to come by and check on the roses. I have a Lady Banks rose that I put down here. My Lady Banks rose that I had in here last year did unfortunately not make it through winter, but we're gonna try again. This just came as a little stick and it's leafed out quite a bit. Check this beauty out. Oh, so pretty. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 dozen yellow roses. Just another day or so and they'll be open, and I have to take a picture of this and put it on the community tab for you guys. This particular rose has a ton of petals on it. It's a radiant perfume. And it is very lovely. What I have been doing is letting them open, enjoying them for a day or so, and then as soon as they really start to relax those petals open, I've been grabbing them and drying them inside just on a paper plate and then saving them in a jar. And what I like to do is actually infuse oil or tallow with the rose petals because it's great for skincare. And they're super great in teas. Of course, we have to visit the kids' garden. I did run the sprinkler in their garden today. It looks like they probably need to mow. Their garden rabbit does do a little bit of mowing, but he doesn't mow everything. Bentley's russet potatoes are flowering, and they say that about 2 weeks after they flower, you can harvest some smaller potatoes, but if you let the plants die back fully, you'll have some more like storage quality potatoes. So we'll have to see what he wants to do. Potatoes, just like tomatoes, are in the nightshade family, and these little flowers are closed up right now, but the flowers look very, very similar, like pepper flowers, like eggplants. They're all from the same family. Molly Sweetcorn is getting big. She really likes this curly dock plant, so she's left it here. We probably really do need to take care of this because it's getting big enough to kind of shade out her peppers that are over here. She loves a good volunteer that's useful, just like her mama. Addie's peanuts are looking good. This is our first year growing anything like peanuts. And of course, Mommy's gonna come through and help weed. We've had quite a lot of ants in the bed, in all of the beds this year. It's not really super fun. You may remember last time that none of Shika's popcorn came up that in his first planting. He got this one plant, but that was it. And so we purchased some new seed and put those in, and we had some amazing germination. But I saw some local birds down here kind of looking like they maybe wanted to pluck these little corn plants out of the ground. And so we made this little makeshift scarecrow with a fiberglass pole and some tin foil, and you know what? Totally works. I have these little plastic owls. They don't do anything. The birds laugh at them. The snakes do pretty okay, but if you don't move them often enough, the birds kind of realize maybe they think they're dead or something. I don't know. I think I talked about coming in here and helping them fertilize these melons. I haven't yet. You can kind of tell that they are needing a little bit of something. There is a good amount of manure in this bed, but the plants probably don't have enough energy to get their roots down into where the manure is. It would probably be best for us to mix in the manure with the bagged soil that we buy to fill beds. We just usually do it in more of like a lasagna method. But mixing it in would help make that nutrition more available to the plants. Yeah, we've got to pick the grass out. Their tomato plants are doing great. They're growing ox hearts as well. Lots of flowers. They haven't really pruned, but that's okay. I do need to come in here with them and have them tie those up to the trellis. But you see this down here, this volunteer plant? The last 2 years, Molly has grown the Berry's Crazy Cherry on this trellis, and that is probably what volunteered right there, and she wanted to keep it. So it'll probably kind of ramble out here, but it'll be a great little bonus plant. Child after my own heart. The boys have some cucumbers growing, and their peppers are doing really well. They have topped the peppers so that they bush out. You might not even really be able to see what's going on here, but when this plant was a lot smaller, we pinched off the top of it, and that encouraged it to put out these side branches. And for us here especially, that helps keep the plant from getting super long and lanky, which prevents the wind from just breaking the plant off, especially when it gets really weighed down with fruits. We'll come down over here and check out this volunteer grape that we have. It's got these fiberglass poles to remind us to be very careful. See if we can peek in here. I don't think Mama's home. Look there. Isn't that beautiful? So yeah, I don't want to hurt them by accident by coming under here and mowing and lifting up on the clothesline that we have here. So this is here just to act as that reminder for those baby birds. They actually nested here last year too. I know we were wondering if we would actually get grapes off of these plants this year. You know, these little flowers look a lot smaller than the other varieties that I have growing. But we'll leave it for now and we'll see. And if it's not something useful, I probably will pull this out, but I will very likely replace it with something that we do like to eat, because this is a really fun and convenient spot to have a really big grapevine. We'll stop in and say hi to the baby turkeys and baby ducks. How are you guys doing? Yeah, doing well. I've been moving these guys a couple times a day. And I guess we will come into the perennial garden from the side. So I've actually planted this little bed out with melons. There's actually quite a lot of weeding to be done, but I planted 4 armpit melons in this 8-foot bed maybe about a week ago. I don't see anything coming up quite yet, but that's okay. They'll come, don't worry. Our gorgeous big elderberry plant is starting to get into its peak. I noticed that the flowers on this side have opened up. So gorgeous and so stinking lovely. I have some friends that have elderberry plants on their property, and they must be a different kind. I can't remember for the life of me what type of elderberry plant this is specifically. I got it from Grower Solution when they had live plants back in 2020. So maybe I could look at my order history and see, but these are incredibly fragrant, which means that they make a very nice elderflower cordial. Now I actually have a lot of elderflower cordial canned, and so I actually don't plan on making elderflower cordial this year, but there's a whole bunch of things that you can do with the elderflowers, so I plan on experimenting. And even when I harvest the flowers, the plant, there's a lot of them, and they will put on more and more and more. It doesn't really impact our elderberry harvest to take quite a few of the flower umbels off early in the season. There's actually 2 plants here, but one of them is a lot bigger than the other. Look at it. Oh man. The asparagus looking wild and crazy, as it should this time of year. And we haven't actually talked about the blueberry bed in a little while. I've kind of ignored it. I had 2 plants that didn't make it through winter, but it looks like the 2 on either side did. And you know what? Blueberry plants do get kind of big, so maybe this is like a blessing in disguise. We'll see. Oh, look. Oh, that's hysterical. Look at our tiny little blueberry harvest. I do need to weed out here. I've just sort of ignored this bed, but maybe I should not ignore it. This half of the asparagus garden was more newly established this year, and you can see the cute little wispy fronds. There's actually a volunteer tomato that I need to pull out of there, and it looks like the elephant garlic is getting close to being able to be harvested. Got this gorgeous garlic scape coming out of the middle. I'm sure we've got more of these to harvest. This is not the only place that I have elephant garlic growing, but these are awesome sauteed with any kind of vegetable or roasted with something like potatoes. They have the mildest garlic flavor and a really nice crunch, not stringy or anything, just a really nice texture and flavor. Oh yeah, there's a whole bunch of them over here. I wonder if Levi's gonna want to put these with dinner. I made a broccoli cheddar soup the other day with some of the Velveeta that we make with our goat's milk. And I've got a quart of it left over. So what Levi is doing is actually making mac and cheese tonight and using the leftover soup as the cheese sauce. And I bet this would be really great in there. Something that you can do if you harvest a bunch of these and you can't use them right away, but you want to use them within the week, is just treat them like a cut flower, put them in a vase of water and stick them on the table, and they'll sit there for at least a week, 10 days until you're ready. You can also make things like garlic scape pesto, but I tend to just eat these fresh. They are also really good fermented. And so I might not actually snap all of these off tonight, but that'll be plenty for dinner. Our triple crown thornless blackberries have started to flower. You can see them here. That some of them have started to really die back, but that's actually a good thing, because when they are all pollinated, that is where our berry comes from, straight out the middle of the flower. Bee balm is looking lovely. We really should start seeing the buds on this very soon. This situation is wild and crazy, but it's okay. I think I'm actually seeing some pokeweed over there. I've got some volunteer pokeweed like crazy happening. I also have some volunteer dill, and this is really awesome to see because the dill that I planted in the greenhouse didn't do well because of the soil that I'm using, but dang, there's a lot of volunteer stuff in here. So there's some dill, and here's some tomatoes. There's more dill. There are some weeds, but look at my oregano. That needs harvesting. I feel like I've been saying that for a month, but it's especially true right now. I did replant the Dutch fork pie pumpkins that are out here because both of the plants that I have, and I have no idea what's happening. I've actually never seen this. I thought that maybe there was a little bit of Roundup overspray because we live in the middle of agricultural farmland. There's a lot of like big ag fields very close to us. Across the street actually is a field that they have not planted, which concerns me a little, but that's a topic for another day. But if it was Roundup overspray, it was literally the only thing that was affected, and I'm not really sure. Some diseases and things can carry in on seed, and I'm sort of wondering if that's what happened. So I did put, yeah, see, that root system's not even any good. I did put another seed in here, and so we'll see if that seed also comes up looking like this. It's from the same pumpkin. See, that's not good. If you have any ideas what could be going on here, let me know. It just looks puckered and weird. There's not any bugs on this. It sort of looks like it maybe had really high aphid pressure, but it never has. And here's the other one that I have. It's a little bit bigger and looks like slightly better, but not really. Look at that. It's just weird. And I'm not gonna give it the time and energy. So there is another seed under here somewhere. But look, the root system is just kind of weak, and I don't know. And unfortunately, it was the pumpkin seedlings that volunteered in the goat pasture that died in the frost that we had. This one looks like it maybe got a little bit zapped by the frost too, but that's okay. Was no count anyway. I have been saving back cardboard on my porch from different deliveries and things. And I think I'm gonna be placing down that cardboard in here just to help me get a handle on the grass. I mulched with barn clean out, which did include hay. And I think some of this is from the hay because it's pretty loosely rooted, but some of it isn't. And I just need to smother it out. You can kind of see that going on right here. Some of this is pretty deeply rooted. I think it's coming down from below. See that? I can't decide if I'd rather deal with this or deal with roly-polies. But our little sage plant is starting to get a little bit bigger. I need to free that grass up from around it so that it's not competing for nutrients. The echinacea has doubled in size in the last couple of weeks. I'm hoping that we get flowers this year. I mentioned last time that I'm not sure of the age of these plants. I just bought them at the local nursery. And echinacea flowers in its second year, but not its first year. Can y'all see what the cinnamon basil is doing? It looks like it's trying to flower. You can see it in the middle of all these little branches. It's like a little flower bud. I know I'm late to the game in figuring this out, but do you guys know that basil makes the most refreshing tea, both warm and cool? It's crazy how refreshing it is. In order to prevent this plant from going to seed, what I will do is pop off all of these little flowering bits and I will use them to make tea. This here is cinnamon basil, and it's crazy how it really does taste like cinnamon, but like a green cinnamon, if that makes sense. Jerusalem artichokes doing their thing. And here are our Concord grapes. You can see the difference in the size of the clusters and the little grapes that are coming on. These had flowered last week, and look at how much bigger these are. So I don't know about that other variety. But like I said, if it turns out to be something we don't want, these guys are incredible. And there's just a ton of grapes out here. They stay green for what feels like the longest time, and then they'll ripen to purple and then like nearly black. And at that point, that's when they're the best. They do have a few seeds, but it doesn't matter. They're so tasty. And one thing that's really awesome to use seeded grapes for is jelly. If you don't have a steam juicer, get one. They are a game changer for things like elderberries and making elderberry syrup, or things like seeded grapes. You could just throw them all in the steamer basket and make jelly. You don't even need pectin. The other grape variety that we have here are muscadine grapes. These do have smaller clusters and they do come on a little bit later in the season, but see, even these are like bigger than the ones that we have over underneath the trees there. Oh, he fell. Did you guys see him though? The ladybugs are here. And that's excellent. We love to see it. There's Colby. I heard the ducks making a noise. That's because Colby was walking by. A lot of people ask me about the farm cats and if we still have them. We do. They're just not kittens anymore, so they're a little bit more independent than they were last year. It looks like our Kelway golden chamomile is finally going to give us its first flower soon. I've been watching this in anticipation. That's going to be so pretty. Oh, speak of the devil. Monty, what are you doing, dude? Are you ignoring me? He says, yeah, this cherry tree is the best. Hey, nope, don't want nothing to do with me right now. That's okay. As far as the cherries on the cherry tree, that's the status. We don't have very many after that windstorm that we had, but they do exist and they're getting bigger. Heather, have you done any more in cleaning up the garden that is falling down? No, I have not. There are some things growing over here though still. I realized we had some lemon balm, like a lot of it, growing in the walkway here. Volunteer sunflowers made it through that frost. I didn't cover those. Our passion flower vines are reaching out for the trellis. You know what, just like with those beans out on the lane, I'm gonna tuck it under and that will help it grow upward. There's a ton of tomatoes in this bed, and these are very likely the yellow currant tomatoes that I adore. And so I'm gonna let these guys grow. I do need to, you know, take out some weeds and give that a little bit more of an ideal situation. But the other passion flower vine is right here. So it looks a mess, but there's things happening. But yeah, that's that for the garden this week. There's a lot of changes that are going to be happening between now and the next couple of weeks because we're finally starting to really warm up. The days are obviously getting longer as we're going into summer. The garden loves that. And so yeah, I'm gonna go see how those garlic scapes taste in the leftovers for dinner. I'll see you guys again soon.